Can you afford to buy a house? Is a question a lot of first-time buyers ask, and the answer isn't as simple as yes or no. So today, let's take a look at what gets you in the housing market and why it's important to know your numbers. The average American earns about $60,000 a year. So this means half the households earn more and half earn less. Let's go with that number. If you make around $60,000 a year, what kind of mortgage can you afford? If you're earning $60,000 a year, that's about $5,000 per month before taxes, gross. Gross income is the total amount of money you earn before any deductions are taken without any other withholdings, okay? All lenders are different and they each allow variable debt to income ratios. But for this example, this lender allows for 50% debt. That means 50% of your gross pay will be allowed for debt. And in this example, that equates to $2,500. That means your mortgage, principal, interest, taxes, HOA, none of it can be more than $2,500 a month. So what does a pre-approval look like for that? I talked about this app before. It's called the Zillow Mortgage app, but any mortgage payment calculator will do. I used a home priced around $299,000, and that seemed to do it. The mortgage was just around $2,450. I used an interest rate for Mortgage News Daily at 6.725. But what if you have other debts? What if you have a car payment, credit cards, child support, student loans? You'd have to take that same $2,500 and deduct those payments. So $2,500 minus a $400 car payment, $150 to your credit cards, and $150 to your student loans. For your credit card payments, you're going to use the minimum that you are required to pay every month. And in my example, I'm saying that comes to $150, okay? So with the $2,500 minus the debt payments, you're left $1,800 for your debt to income ratio because you already have $700 allotted to other debts. Now you have to see what kind of home you can afford at that price. If you can afford $1,800 in your mortgage, what would your pre-approval be? That ended up being around $200,000. This is what it looks like in the Zillow Mortgage app. Really user-friendly. The first value I put in was $120 for home insurance. Home insurance can vary upon every individual. The next thing I did was I chose the term. You can choose 10, 15, 20, or 30 years on this app. I chose 30. That's the most common. Then I went through the taxes and I put in about $3,000 for the taxes. Next, I chose the interest rate, and to choose the interest rate, I looked on the website, which is Mortgage News Daily, because they have the average interest rates for the United States. Next up, I did the down payment. The down payment I chose as 3.5. I'm just assuming this was an FHA. That's the most common, and 3.5 is the bare minimum that you can put down on a home. And from there, I kind of just had to guess at what the home price would be. I started at $300 just to give you an example. That was going to be too high. And then I just went to $250 and I was like, oh, now I'm getting closer. So instead of going $50,000, I went $25,000. So then I went to $225,000 and then I just slowly went down to get to $210,000, $215,000. The goal is to get your payment for this exercise $1,800 or less. In my opinion, you want to overestimate these values. It's better that your potential mortgage amount end up higher in the app than in real life. I want to show you something else I didn't realize was available in this app. It shows you how amortization, which is basically how much your loan goes down with each payment, like how much you're paying off your principal. And this can be handy if you know you want to move in 10 years. This will give you a general idea of how much principal you have paid each year. It's really helpful information. To view the amortization schedule, swipe left from the payment calculator. Also, in working on this example, it really helped me to understand why they use gross pay instead of net. Gross pay is easier to compare apples to apples because you don't know everyone's tax liability or what their cost is for benefits. But if you want to be sure you're comparing everyone's income fairly and equally, gross is a good way to start. I hope this example shows you why they only allow for 50% of your income to be debt. And honestly, 50% is generous because if it were any more, you wouldn't have money for things like food, gas, clothing, utilities, insurance, childcare, retirement savings, vacations, entertainment. I know it can be annoying, but sometimes we really need to sit down with our finances and see where our money is going. Because if you don't tell your money where to go, it will leave. Hopefully, with this exercise, you can really see how to adjust your DTI to get the approval you want. Maybe you need to increase your income if you want to buy a home. I know that's not easy, but I'm just giving you examples. Perhaps you can pay down your debts. Increase your savings. That's another thing. In this example, I use the down payment as 3.5%. If you have more to put down, that decreases your payment as well. Whatever you're earning, just know that home ownership is within reach, but not without trade-offs. You may have to look at more affordable neighborhoods, buy a smaller home or an older home, or accept some renovations over time. Understanding how lending works helps keep you informed by being smart and strategic. And remember to know your numbers. So when you talk to a lender, there are no surprises because you know your budget and you know how the math works. If you are interested in buying a home, I would love to hear from you. My name is Tiffany Nelson, and I'm a realtor here in the Lehigh Valley. If you or someone you know needs a realtor, I would love to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching.